Dear students, this is an audio recording. This is a sequel annexure to the video which I produced some time back. You would have possibly seen it. That is a ray optics on acceleration of image. That is actually now solving a problem which was asked in the JEE main some time back. And then there in that particular solution, in that video recording, I would have solved the question using a shortcut method for which now the idea was borrowed from the error chapter, where now some of you or all of you who would have seen that particular video recording would actually be knowing what I am talking about. We had borrowed the idea of the fractional error from the chapter on error units and measurement and applied it to solve this particular problem. One particular step which will be time consuming otherwise, that is differentiation. Differentiation of the velocity of the image in order to get the acceleration, because basically now if we don't recall what the kind of problem was, I'll just now tell you briefly. It was a situation of a convex mirror where the focal length is given and then the object position is given, that a u distance is given, as well as the velocity of the object. The object is moving with uniform velocity towards the mirror, and then you are asked to find the acceleration of the image. Therefore, now it means actually now double differentiation. First differentiation in order to get the velocity of the image, which actually is not much of a problem, because now there is a specific formula which most of you may be aware of it already. That is to do with applying the longitudinal magnification formula minus b squared by u squared for the mirror, of course, and applying it as a ratio of the velocity of the image to the velocity of the object. Therefore, that particular formula is fairly well known. Maybe some of you wouldn't have heard about it. Therefore, in which case then you have to derive it first from that is by means of differentiating the mirror equation 1 by v plus 1 by u equal to 1 by f, and subsequently, because the problem solution does not stop there, because what is asked for is acceleration of the image. Therefore, you have to go the next step, which is now the second term differentiation, that is the second derivative, taking the velocity of image and then differentiating in order to get the acceleration. That is where exactly that particular shortcut what I am talking about came. And then the people who had seen that particular image video would actually recall how we have done it. We had actually applied the shortcut method, as I said, about the fractional error concept borrowed from the error and measurement chapter, where now if I can explain to you briefly, it's nothing but this is the approach which is used for fractional error in a calculated variable, which is based on a formula which depends upon several measured variables raised to different powers. Like for example, suppose the formula is something like z equal to x cube y square divided by t power 3 by 2. Then you know very well that the delta z by z in the calculated variable is given by whatever the power, like now in this particular case what I said, it is now twice delta x by x plus thrice delta y by y plus 3 by 2 times delta t by t. Now this idea we said we borrowed in order to actually use it for the velocity of image is given. Velocity of image divided by velocity of the object is given by minus v squared by u squared. Therefore, we just used it to find the acceleration of the image as velocity of that is delta vi, that is delta velocity of image divided by velocity of image. That fractional error concept is equal to twice the delta in the v distance, that is image distance, divided by the v distance plus twice the object distance divided by delta in object distance divided by object distance, where now delta v distance is nothing but the velocity of the image, because delta v by delta t, and then delta object distance, of course, now I said actually from the error concept, it actually no plus because numerator denominator both get actually error is added. Whereas in the case of our application, we had to make a slight departure, as I said. We had to subtract if it is a denominator because denominator increase means now the left hand side is going to be decreasing. What I explained to you also. Now to cut the matters actually short. Now this the purpose of this audio is now slightly different. It's not to explain about the particular shortcut concept, but then about the importance of learning the shortcut approach. Now, as I said, now this if you don't apply this particular shortcut, then you'll be taking slightly more time, which will mean actually eating into the time available for solving difficult questions. As it is, now the kind of exam what we are nowadays having is fairly difficult on the higher difficulty level as well as time consuming also. Especially now, if you are you may be recalling that the 2025 NEET examination was very much difficult as compared to the earlier ones. In fact, it was even more difficult in terms of time consuming. It's not a difficulty per se by means of the kind of concepts are not difficult. They are actually more or less straightforward. In fact, application of the standard straightforward formula only. But then where the particular difficulty came is only because of time consuming exercise, and some of the questions were actually slightly on the difficult side in terms of trying to make out what should be the approach. Okay, but as I said, now once the approach is occurred to you, then solving by means of applying this thing is applying the formula is practically straightforward only. Not going to be there. Only thing is a question of time consuming. And then as you know, for the NEET exam especially, it hardly 1 minute per question. And then if you spend much more time on that, as what has happened for the 2025, what I am talking about, now the NEET exam, that practically nobody would have actually scored all the full marks for the physics. I am talking only about physics. Okay, I am not talking about the other subjects. Whereas physics, now I can actually see that practically nobody in India would have got the full marks because of the time-consuming necessity of that particular paper. Now similarly, now if you just look into the advanced JEE advanced this year, 2025, it is such a beautiful paper, I tell you, because the kind of question what has come, I have never come across such kind of a mixture because generally what happens, JEE advanced is going to be a very fresh paper, very new kinds of situations are being given. Whereas this year especially, it has become so many kind of new situations, new questions have come. Of course, there have been certain amount of standard concepts, standard questions also have come. But there were actually very few. If you now seen out of the 32 questions in paper 1 and paper 2 put together in the JEE Advanced 2025, there were at least about some 16, 17 questions were very fresh and nobody has even thought about it. I can also bet that practically no teacher, no physics coaching institution teacher has actually thought about teaching that kind of a combination of concept, combination situations which were there in that particular exam. Of course, we know the JEE Advanced generally gives a very fresh set of questions which actually nobody thought about. But still now this year it was especially was on a higher side. Now I'm saying this because now we'll come to the main topic of what I actually wanted to say was that without using the shortcut approach, you would not be able to actually master the particular papers. Okay. Now this is now increasingly happening. We are seeing both in NEET, JEE main as well as JEE advanced also. Therefore, there is no way that there is no way that you can succeed very well without actually learning all the shortcuts required. Now, you may have a comment to make, just like many of the students also have made the similar comment to me. They just ask me only one thing, sir, it's okay now for you to now think of such kind of a shortcut methods to be applied, etc. Because you have nothing to do other than only teaching physics, and then you have been teaching physics for so many years. What about us now? Whereas we have not only physics, we have so many other subjects like chemistry, mathematics, and also biology also if we are appearing for the NEET. And if it's not just one subject what we have to actually master, and we are just now only learning the subject. Therefore, how do you expect us to now strike this particular kind of shortcuts in the exam hall? We are now learning a subject, and then how do you expect us to now strike this particular shortcut method to strike us in the exam hall with all the tension and with all the time strictness which is there now? There's no time to think. Then how do you expect us to now think of all the kind of shortcut methods at that particular moment in the exam hall when you are faced with the situation? Now it's a genuine question, all right. Yes, it will happen. But now coming back to it, I'm not now talking about there could be so many kinds of shortcut formulas, and also I know that your teacher would have actually tried to teach you so many shortcut formulas to be memorized or mugged up and retained in the memory so that you can apply it on the exam. Talking about certain very generic or general kind of shortcut approaches which you can apply widely across all the chapters or practically so many chapters. Like that kind of generally applicable shortcut methods or the formulas I'm talking about could be very few. In physics, you could actually come hardly around some 9 to 10 maybe. That may be the maximum number of shortcut what I'm talking about, which you will have to necessarily learn. Because a lot of time in the examination, ultimately what determines is now how well you are able to solve the question and then come up with a very good marks level so that you can walk into any of the IITs if you are talking about the JEE Advanced, or if you are talking about the NEET, which is even more much better because the kind of medical colleges, the kind of, let us say, for example, AIMS, All India Institute of Medical Sciences, or any of the premier medical colleges in the state, if you can get a seat over there, nothing like it because your life is made then. I'm not saying that your life is made because when you become a great surgeon, then you earn a lot of money and become rich. Yes, yes, that is true enough. That you become rich, therefore you earn a lot of money. That's true. But that's only a side thing. Whereas the main satisfaction in your life is the kind of respect what you get from the professional circles around you, and from the patients at large. Because now the kind of satisfaction which you get when your patient describes you as a kind of life-saving person is immense. Okay, that can't be beaten. And then similarly, suppose you get into IIT and then become a top-notch engineering, either core engineering or IT professional, and then become a top management expert, and then also you make a lot of money, but then that's only a side show. Whereas the main thing is what you contribute for your company, and for the society at large, for your employees, and for the nation building. That is what is going to give you self respect as well as a kind of satisfaction. Therefore, now that is what I meant by saying that your life is made, and for that kind of a life is made, then you need to perform very well in this particular basic examination, NEET and JEE main, and for which you need to actually now do it very well. That is, score high marks, which is possible only if you are able to understand and practice and then perfect all the kind of faster tricks and techniques which are required to score the high marks. Okay, that's the reason. Therefore, now with that, now for which now I have a website where actually I teach all these kind of shortcuts also in addition to so many other things. Okay, like the basic, all the chapters in the physics, plus also know how to solve the problem, plus more importantly all the kind of shortcut techniques which I think is very useful for you. Now I have a website, you can come there. But then I'm not now saying that, don't think that this is only a promotional propaganda exercise what I am now delivering the lecture. That's not the idea. You can come to me or you don't come to me, but then I want you to go to a good teacher. Therefore, no, there are plenty of very good teachers. Okay, there are so many good physics teachers, much better than me. You can approach any one of them. But then what I want you to do is now learn them well, and apply them, and then practice, and then score high marks, and then be good in your life. Okay. Thank you so much.